Greetings and suave evening. This is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your divine social therapist and host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Man, what a blessing. Listen, before I start, I just want to thank God for waking me up to see another day I never seen before. Thank God for waking me up with my health, life, and strength. And I thank him for another opportunity to get it right. You know, it's a blessing. Sometimes we have these days, and I actually had a not so suave day today. But I'm thankful because I'm happy that I have accountability partners. I thank God that I have people in my life that can really be there for me in a time of need. This is why it's so important to stay connected. This is why it's so important to just check on people from time to time, because you never know when you're going to need somebody to sow back into your life, man. And listen, today was just such a challenging day. And the reason I'm just having a little small talk before I get into today's broadcast is that I love you guys. And I say it because I like to share. So transparency equates to empowerment, because I am human and I had a not so suave day. And people who know me, I have a lot of amazing vocabulary words. So I'm always on a positive tip. But today was quite challenging. My entire financial bank cards, credit union, all got compromised. It was just a whole bunch of things. I couldn't get in my computer today. And then I had to go ahead and get my Suave swag on. As you see, I'm always keeping my Suave swag on. So I had to tighten up today. But guess what? I'm 2 minutes away from the place. And actually run into a pothole. Real discouraging. But guess what? Again, that's why it's so important to have people in your life. I called some people, and the individual and the brother just sold into my life and helped me understand how important it is to stay positive. And so he sold into my life, and I thank God for sowing into his life a while back. And then when I got home, man, I was able to talk to my frat brother, Brilliance. The brother just gave me and lifted up my spirits, man. I'm happy, so I want to give recognitions to a barber, James Miles, and my frat brother, the success architect, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. So me getting off my little soapbox, and so I'm just happy. Thank you, Loretta. Suave evening. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I believe in sharing. So tonight we're going to be talking about a very sensitive subject that I think that the news is not covering it. But this is dealing with human trafficking. It's a $150 billion business. I mean, I never knew. Getting prepared for today's broadcast, I had to do a little research just to find out about it. So it was just incredible to learn that this is a huge business. I posted a couple of videos dealing with sex trafficking, human trafficking. So I'm going to be sharing some information, but I'm going to be sharing it from an expert, a person who's been doing this for a while. So what I'm going to do is just talk about this brilliant person. But before I tell it the name, this person I met maybe 20 years ago. And I remember at the credit union, she was always helpful, always professional, but always empathetic. And she showed a lot of passion. And so that lets me know that she was a passionate person. It's obvious because her passion is for people. And so it's just like, man, it's just incredible. So I'm just going to forget all this soapbox and stop going into it. I'm going to talk about her. So here, the person is Sandra K. Gipson. She's the NCNW National Human Trafficking Committee Chair. She's worked with the Florida State Legislation in proposing a human trafficking education bill in 2019, a policy adopted by the Department of Education, making Florida the first state to teach human trafficking education in school. In September 2020, Dr. Jonetta B. Cole, the NCNW National President and Chair, appointed Ms. Gipson to the position of NCNW National Chair of Human Trafficking Committee. And now Ms. Gipson, she's a survivor of child sexual abuse and domestic violence. She is the mother of Dr. Tarika McCall, Darrell McCall, and Kevin McCall, and the grandmother of Jaden Darrell II and Deanna McCall. Her mantra is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13. So without further ado, let's welcome the passionate and brilliant Sandra K. Gipson. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Sandra. Welcome.
Here this evening. I'm humbled and honored to be here and listening to your day. And, the end is not the beginning, is how we end it. And it ends
Yes,
on a
yes.
positive note. It ends on a swavelous note.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yes.
must commend you for that, my brother. And we go back a long, long ways.
Yes.
We
A
worked for Dade
long
County
time.
Credit Union. I remember you yourself was a very passionate person. What you do, serious about your money, right? Still is. So don't mess with his money. But I'm so humbled and honored to be here this evening on behalf of the National Council of Negro Women, which I've been serving since 2012. It's a prestigious organization that was founded by none other than the Dr. Mayor McLeod Bethune in 1935. And, NCNW is an organization of organizations. So you can't get better than NCNW. But I'm so honored to be here tonight. And I'm looking forward to dig in and to share. One of our famous, I must say, one of my favorite leader was Nelson Mandela. He said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world.
Yes.
So you go ahead and let's dig into it and let's educate the community, our village, on human trafficking.
Yes. So again, when I try to prepare for a show, first of all, I want to say thank you, Tonda. Thank you, Brother Fred Jones. Thank you, Brother Wally. I'm happy. It's a great topic. It is. I agree. Listen. So anyway, so before I do a show, I try to do a little background, and I did a little research. I posted some videos about sex trafficking, human trafficking, and it's just so amazing that they're not showing this stuff on news enough. When I find out it's $150 billion business. So what I wanted to say before we transition, I wanted to understand how sex trafficking and recruiters recruit their victims. I did some research. I have my own questions, but I just wanted to get your perspective. How do they recruit their victims?
Well, listen, they are out there. They're in the malls.
Mm-hmm.
They are in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
They are at the games. Wherever people are, they're looking for those young persons more than anything, or more than anything else that's vulnerable.
Yes.
Runaways, the homeless,
Mm-hmm.
the desolated. Those are the ones they're looking for. And false hope. They'll tell them that, put on a colored glasses. I can make your life better. We can find you love. Things are not going well at home. Hey, we can make it better for you.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's only a talk. And I
Yeah.
hope you have a lot of teenagers. If folks that are listening this evening, I would like you to pick up the phone and have the teenagers to, tune on in, because more than anything else, they are our number one victim right now.
Yes. Yes. And when you were saying they everywhere, I was reading something today. Now, this was shocking, but not shocking. And one of the things that when we look at society at large, one of the things that we tend to give a pass is the church. We say this is a sacred place, the mosque, this is a sacred place. This is the one place that people should feel safe. But more and more, based on what I was reading, this is where a lot of recruiters are. When people are, when they said, one of the ladies in the article was saying that they can see that they're vulnerable. They can see when they hurt, they always going up asking for prayer, or they're sitting on the side of them crying, and they observing their body language, and they come up to them and saying, you seem to be worried, you seem to be upset. and they make them because they're vulnerable, and so they say it's like I think it said a buying time,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so and then they offer them to say that, well, I don't have any money, I don't have anywhere to go, and bam, right there in a place where they feel safe, and they don't
Yes.
even think that a person of the cloth or working in the church will even do something like that.
Right. So as you know, the church have the devil in it too, right? So they come, as you said, yes, it happens in the churches also, with folks coming and watching the body languages, seeing if the person, as you said, always going up for prayer, you're crying, you're troubled, you're vulnerable, and you're in a stage that that's when a person really need help. And it's so sad that that's when they're taken advantage of.
Yes.
So even in the school, I must share something with you.
Okay.
Even the schools, I never ever thought human trafficking would be in the schools. And I
Tell
never
us about
forget,
that.
about 5 years ago,
Uh-huh.
I was with an organization, a police organization, Noble, and we decided to go into the schools. We used to do a report card, check on the students' report card, see how they were doing. So my group was majority young girls, ninth graders and 10th graders. So while I was there, there was these young ladies that came up, and they had on their little shorts. They didn't dress like they were going to school. So when I looked at a report card, the first thing I look at, and this is a red flag also, listen up, the absentees, right?
Uh-huh.
They were absent, 45 days absent from school. The grades were D's and C's, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to them, bonding with them and feeling them, and they're feeling me. So first I asked them, I said, well, how's everything going at home? And they'll tell me, well, my dad left, my grandparents, one young lady told my grandparents, the ones that's raising me right now, and they're disabled, and things are not going too well there. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Do you plan to go to college after you graduate from high school? I said, oh, no, Miss Gipson. Want to be a stripper like Diamond in the movie Player, right? She said, I want to be a stripper. I said, why you want to be a stripper? She said, it's quick money. It's quick money, right? So, okay, I spoke with her. I said, have you heard about human trafficking? No, never heard of it. Second girl came, the same thing. Third one came. Fourth one came, the same thing. Don't I have no knowledge what human trafficking is all about, right? And one of the places, believe it or not, is a strip club, right? The strip clubs, hotels, those are some hot spots that they pick up these young ladies from, and young boys. Boys are not exception from it. But when she told me that she wanted to be a stripper, and four of them wanted to be a stripper, I in turn decided to make a call to my favorite school board member, Dr. Bendros Minigal, and said, need to do something immediately, ASAP. Got the school board involved. It took up in no time, bam, the school board had it in their curriculum that human trafficking is going to be taught in Dade County schools.
Thanks to you.
Well, it was a group effort. It was a lot of us at the table. We had to get NGOs on board, and we decided to go to Tallahassee and say, hey, we cannot, because if we were trying to figure out how we're going to go from city to cities, okay, St. Petersburg, okay, we're going to go to Calera County, we're going to go to Duval County. It would be a lot of work. So we decided to go up to Tallahassee to speak to our lawmakers. And I never forget getting on that bus, another group going up to Tallahassee, and I decided to tell my story.
Yes.
Because I myself did not know that I was trafficked until I learned what human trafficking was about. So a lot of persons may think human trafficking is just sex trafficking. No, you have domestic servitude, you have child forced labor, you have the organ harvesting, you have the forced labor, right? So I fell in the category of forced labor, right? So when I look back and see, I said, okay, what are some of the red flags of being forced labored? Was one of them is being these undocumented immigrants, right? You come to this country, you're undocumented. So your trafficker is going to keep your undocumented, right?
Yes.
In order to child force labor into selling drugs or whatever. Not, you have sex trafficking, you have drug trafficking. But once it's forced, human trafficking, understand, and I want you to understand this. What is human trafficking? Human trafficking is force through force. Modern day slavery, it is a trade of human beings being forced, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of exploitation for labor, sexual purposes, or organ transplant, right? Organ harvesting is a crime under the federal law and international law. So under forced labor, I fell on that category. So I decided to tell my story to the legislators. Then it went all the way through the House. Then it came to the Senate, went all the way through the House. We were clean and clear. Came to the Senate, it stopped at the Appropriation Committee. And that's when the Department of Education stepped in and said, listen, we're going to take over. And they decided to make it a policy that human trafficking education be taught in the schools from K through 12 in the state of Florida, 67 counties. That was a huge milestone. Yes.
And the thing is, I want to tell you, thank you for telling your story. I hope you continue on. It's just incredible. I like that it takes one person. I always say potential without initiative is nothing but a conversation with yourself and others if you don't do anything about it. So you had the potential, but you took the initiative, and your initiative, as well as the other and the people who supported you, changed the lives of millions. And it's hopefully that the rest of the country get on board.
Yes.
Because lives are important. It's not always about money, but lives are important. And I think we need to prioritize what's important. And I thank you for it. I thank you for telling your story. I'm giving you recognition, praise. I honor you because, again, a lot of people are not brave enough to even tell this story, and it was a question I had because, again, there were so many different ways of human trafficking. And so I was reading like with human trafficking, when you said force and coerce, see, it's a difference. Some people sit there and say, well, they just a prostitute. No, a prostitute has the option to quit. Yes. They can say, I don't want to do this anymore. That's but right. When you human traffic, they make you don't get paid, and they making money off you. Mm-hmm. And it's fear and intimidation and control.
Mm-hmm. It's a recycling process. The human being, the body of the human can recycle. You can make, yes. They can make
profit,
$6,000, $8,000 per night, $10,000.
Yes.
Because it's just recycling over and over and over and over. That's why it's $150 billion annual. Yes.
Yeah, and I also read that they start so young. They got, we're talking about young, and then if they're I'm sorry. We're gonna have to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come right back.
Great.
we're back. Sandra, listen. Well, we left off was talking about the background. Some of them coming um out of different countries. They're young, and so to because it's a stereotype in my opinion. So a question I have you: do victims always come from a low income background?
Definitely not. You have the middle class, the upper class, the lower class, all kind of class. These children, and I've talked to survivors who came out of homes that they're wealthy, right? However, in
Wealthy.
that home, there's some kind of lacking. Maybe mom is working night shift, dad is working, pulling hours. They're pulling some heavy shifts, and the child is just lacking of attention, need love, attention, need caring. We have the main persons who are vulnerable though is the poverty, and in our neighborhood, not
Yeah.
our neighborhood only, because we may think it's only a black thing. No, human trafficking does not have any color. It does have any status, so anyone can be trafficked, right? So what I would say to parents right now, you may be in a high society, low society, keep your eyes on the children, especially during this pandemic. The social media platform,
Mm.
they are there. They are lurking on Twitter, Facebook. They're there, and they're coming up. You don't know who is behind the scene, right? They have a thing they call catfishing and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of persons know what that means. Someone just they're pretending to be good people back there who want to help your children. But on social media right now, cyber sex, you'll be surprised. Cyber sex is on the rise.
Wow.
Right now, they are on. They had a backpage.com. It's shut down right now, but law enforcement, that's where they used to go and arrest a lot of persons used to get caught on that page. Because pornography and then our use, they on social media, the parents don't know that they're on there all hours of night. They know, oh, they're just on their phones. No, they're making plans. A lot of them are making plans even to go out with that person, and their parents don't know. I've been in a situation when I was in high school and been in foster home. Even the foster homes are a prime place because those young girls in there are looking for love. They're looking to make a quick buck. I remember being there, and our foster parent used to go on to bed, and at nights the girls used to just hop out the windows. They're gone out, and they'll come back at 6 o'clock, get dressed, and go to school like nothing happened. They're being trafficked. They out there being trafficked. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So it's wide open. It could be anywhere. It could be the church, the schools, foster homes, in a community, anywhere. It's
And
always vulnerable people.
wherever we're having it, like for example in California, when I was looking, I do some research too, and we have folks out there in California on the ground working where the Super Bowl went. Wherever you have a large event, they are there. Sporting event, that's where it's set up. I know now in Miami, we have the Formula One is coming in May, right? In a couple months.
Okay.
So they're already setting up Airbnbs, hotels, massage parlor, nail shop. Yes, they're setting up, right? The girls now up north is wintertime. So guess what? We have a lot of runaways getting on buses. They're hitchhiking, they're coming to Florida because that's the best way to make some quick money, right? The Formula One is coming. But guess what? We are in the schools. We have partnered with law enforcement agencies like Miami-Dade County Police Department, and we're going to be in the schools educating the students on human trafficking awareness and letting them know how to look for the signs, what to do. The hotline to call, 1-888-373-7888. That's 1-888-373-7888. That's the number to call if you see any signs of anyone being trafficked, or if you have any suspect. If you see something, please say something.
Yes. Okay. So here's Here's a comment by Brother Wally. Says, please watch The Secret of Playboy on A&E. Hugh Hefner has decades of long history of abuse of women who are wealthy but confused sexually.
Mm-hmm.
It said the money they receive set the standard for more abuse.
Yes.
Wow. And so here's a question. So by what means, because you was mentioning something to this effect, but by what means do traffickers control their victims? Because he just mentioned about money, so I can really picture that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that the
Not
human
only money.
traffickers is not money because they're not reaping those benefits. So tell me, how do they control their victims? Because it's definitely not money.
They control their victims. As I said, those young girls are vulnerable. They're looking for love. So they control them by love, fear. They put fear into them, right? So they're going to, first of all, they confiscate all their identification. So if you meet someone who's been trafficked, they don't have any IDs. Whoever is over them, their pimp, their don, whoever, he has an ID. So they're controlled, right? So what they do, controlling them, power and control emotionally, they break them down, right? And the fear, they drive fear into them. When a person is manipulated and broken down emotionally, they get in their head and break them down, let them know, hey, if you leave, we're gonna kill your parents. We're gonna
That was my
they
next
threat.
question.
Yeah, there's our threats. They get a lot of threats. They are beaten.
Mm.
And there's a lot of movies that I've watched on Netflix and Prime Video. And sometimes you must take the time and go and watch and look at those movies. Those girls and those boys, they are, especially young ladies, they are, under some heavy control. They're being handcuffed. We have survivors right now that told us they were under there mentally. The latch was there. And the young lady said she didn't have the power in her. She was so afraid to slide that latch. But she said one day she built up that confidence, and she was trafficked from she was 11 years old till she was 21, right here in Fort Lauderdale, in Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Miami Beach.
Wow. So it's safe to say that the traffickers are so brutal. They're like the elephant. I mean, they so brutal, so they instill fear in them. They have the IDs, and they say, if you think this is a beat down, the same thing that I do to you is going to be worse with your family members.
Yes.
And I know everywhere they at, where they go, where they work at, and everything. And so they could be right next to home and afraid to go.
That's right. Some of them is just right down the street, and that's the point. A lot of them, survivors I talk, they're right in their neighborhood, and the parents, you may see those missing children. And I always wonder, when I used to see those missing children, you go to the post office and you see those missing children, you see their faces there and they're missing. A lot of them is just right in the neighborhood being trafficked.
Wow. Yes. So this is the one thing, because we about for us, by us, and we controlling our own agenda. So when we look in at, we know it's not a black or white thing, but because I'm concerned about my people. So are we more at risk than others?
Yes, we are. 59%. Yes. Yes. Our population, 59% of our population is being trafficked. Yes, the numbers are high on our people. Yes, they are. And because of the poverty level, the poverty level is number one, the single parent home. When you look at the homes and, the broken homes, over at, mama used to, and most of these children, let's go back. If we look at the pattern, right? So you look at a child, most children who have been sexually abused as a child, right? So if they're sexually abused as a child, their self-esteem is low. That child have not been in therapy. So you look at a child who's been sexually abused, and you look at this child, teenage, they've been, they fall in the hands they got with some, friends. They just want to be a part of the group. They get caught up in trafficking, right? And even some of them, even before they got trafficked, they've been in a situation where they have been abused, domestic violence, right? physically, emotionally, right? And these are the ones that are prime, that are being trafficked, because they're easy tasks, because they're already broken. They're already been, their self-esteem, they're already been beat down. So
Yes.
to them, how low can I go? There's no up for me. It's only down. So it's, they are the one that they're looking for. The ones that are walking around with their head down, don't feel they're being bullied, those children. So in the homes, and I must go back, and you talked about our village. We have
Yes.
to get our homes back. We
Yes.
have to win this war. We have to do this together. And the
Yes.
only way we can do this together is to educate
Yes, educate. I believe that. And you
our
started the show
village.
is talking about education. So Tracy
Yeah.
Randolph was saying it's because they feel that we're expendable. You know, I mean, and so I think that's what she said. But anyway, you have a next one says, oh, it went off. It says we have to get back to protect our village mindset, no excuses. And that's
That's right.
exactly what you're saying. We
That's
have
right.
to, and that's one of the things with Neighborhood Planet is
Mm-hmm.
our planet, our network,
Mm-hmm.
our people. And so we
Mm-hmm.
want to address those issues because if you're looking at things that affecting our community, affecting us individually, is affecting us
Right.
collectively. And so we have to
Mm-hmm.
educate ourselves. We have to protect and educate our own.
And you have to,
A
and
lot
another
of
thing, we have to cover. We can't say, well, this is our neighbor's child, so hey, that's how they
no.
are. No, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes,
I remember
it does.
raising my 3 children, and it took a village. I had to step away. And I was working at a credit union. While I was working at a credit union, I could have gone and got a better job. But guess
Hmm.
what? That was banker's hours. Being a single parent, I need to be home when my children get off from work,
Yes.
right? So it
Hmm.
takes a lot of sacrifice, right? If you're a nurse,
Absolutely.
sometimes when you're a nurse in some occupation, you got to work 11 to 7. I've
Mm.
known a lot of young ladies, 11 to 7, while mom left, 12
Hmm.
midnight, they're gone. And they come
Yes.
back at 6 because mom come back at 7.
Hmm.
So those children, we have to go back to the basic and say, what is important? Is
Yeah.
a job, is sacrificing, and you know, listen, my paycheck used to go to pay my rent because
Hmm.
I moved from east and come back a little bit west, close to credit union, somewhere, an environment where my children was, I felt they were safe. My
Yes.
daughter, God bless her, and she's a professor at Yale right now. She has a
Hmm.
PhD, she have an MPH, and she have an MBA. She's a professor at Yale.
Go on with her
However,
bad self.
yeah, thank you. But it didn't come that easy. I remember in high school, Suave, at high school, I had 9 scholarship for track. And my
Yeah.
last semester, I was pregnant with my child, with my daughter, and being undocumented and pregnant, that's
Mm.
double whammy. Where am I going? But I decided I was going to turn the whole situation around. I started educating and started being a part of my children's life at home. I didn't leave it up to the school only to educate my children.
Yes.
So whatever you put in, parents out there, that's what you're going to get out. So sacrifice now and you'll see the results. And I'm so proud of Tarika being a
Yes.
professor at Yale. And she said, Mom, we need more of our people. I don't see much of us at Yale University. We need more. We need
Yes.
more Black professors at Yale.
But
Your child can be a professor at
we
Yale.
also need true warriors, warrior queens like yourself. Brother Wally, acknowledge you as a true warrior queen, man. Listen,
Thank you.
see, and not just that, not just being brave, but being, because it was a question I was going to ask you, and it
Mm-hmm.
said, how can we as a community help prevent human trafficking? But
Mm-hmm.
again, staying to the basics,
Yes.
raising our children, educating our children,
Mm-hmm.
and not just our children, but coming together collectively as a village.
Yep.
And a lot of things that can help us in so many different ways, not just human trafficking, but just empowering our entire community.
And then
And
they won't
again,
fall in that situation, right?
yes, again, this is why this platform, social therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, we want to do healing from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
and and so the next question I have for you: how are teens typically recruited into the human trafficking situation? Teens. I know you mentioned teens earlier, but
Right.
how do they focus on them?
Teens, traffickers lure these teens in a number of ways. Often, as I said before, they hang out in the malls, on the street, or the public setting, and on social media. The number one place where teens are lured is social media because they spend a lot of time on social media. So, guess where the traffickers are going to go? On social media. And guess what they do? They use their own peers to recruit them. They're not going to use me and you because we don't speak their language. They hire their peers. We'll pay you $500 a day to bring in 2 girls.
Okay.
Really? $500 for 2 girls?
Wow.
Hey, how much I can bring in a week? Right?
Okay.
So that's how it works. That's one of the
strategies. You don't have anything. So
that's the strategy. Just to bring them in. You don't have to do anything but bring them in.
So
and how they bring them in? Hey, I know where you can make some money. I know where you can make $600 a day. Woo. And just, all we gotta do is go down to this this gentleman's house. He got a big, nice house. And all you have to do is rub his back or rub his feet. They're not gonna get into the sexual. I've heard survivors will tell me that's how I was lured. They told me I could make a lot of money by just going down there and cleaning the house or something. It doesn't go like next thing you know, they get there, they're, come on in the room, hey, they're not gonna say take your clothes off, rub my feet. And I don't know if everyone watched that movie with the biggest guy there that we took down the other day, right? He had those girls rubbing his feet and rubbing his back, and then it went into sexual, and these were all minors were having sex with this grown man. I see why he couldn't live with himself. He had to commit suicide. So they use the peers, and the peers is the number one person they use to recruit these girls.
Yeah, I did read something about it because they have people who already control, and they saying, listen, if you want less abuse or less being terrorized, you better bring some people on. Instead, I use you as a recruiter as opposed to having you out there working. Right. But that's your work. And so one of the questions by Fred Jones, and he was saying, how can you detect a human traffic victim from a person who's a willing participant?
Well, human trafficking, remember, we got to go back to what is human trafficking. They're forced, right? They're exploited. So how would you detect them from a regular? You'll see them, they're walking around, right? And so, for example, you go to the bathroom. Someone is standing outside waiting for them. Their head is down. They're not going to look at you, eye contact. They're going to avoid anyone in law enforcement. They're going to avoid, eye contact. They're going to be branded either by tattoos or they're going to burn them with cigarette, and the branding usually be on the neck. Most of them get the branding on the neck or in their back. They brand them. Yeah. And they're and a lot of them are low self, and they're dressed. You're not going to see them walking around and looking professional. They're dressed. They look. I remember coming in contact with my first survivor, and she wasn't. She was looking just poor, and it was on a university campus. It was a FIU, because I was up doing a presentation on domestic violence, human trafficking. At the end, this young lady just ran from the back, and she came and she hugged me. She was crying. I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "I'm running." She said, "I've been out of trafficking for 6 months." I said, "What happened?" She said, "My father trafficked me when I was a child, and then he sold me off to a man which became my boyfriend, and he trafficked me." And she was able to escape, but she was still in the front. When you look at her dental work, they don't go to the doctor. They don't allow them to go to the doctor. They don't allow them to go to the dentist. So they look really beat up. She was looking very, and we had to go and get clothes for her and, deodorant and all those, hygiene stuff that she needed, but she was looking very rough. Wow. Yeah, a lot of them is, and they're timid, very timid.
Wow. And it's incredible. Um, Listen, I know that you um are the chair, and I got your title, but what does NCNW mean? What is that?
That's yeah. The NCNW is
Yes.
the National Council of Negro Women.
Okay.
It's an organization that was founded by Mary McLeod Bethune in 1935, and our mission is to empower, empower, and to educate women of African descent as they care for their family. So NCNW, most campuses we have 260 community base. We have 500 collegiate sections. We have 160 youth sections in the high school. And the thing about when I came across NCNW, what I was very unique about it, it was our people. It was our women like Dr. Dorothy Height, Alexis Herman, Dr. Janetta Cole, those women,
Doom.
Dr. Thelma Dale, those women who are strong Black women leaders
Yes.
sitting, whose shoulders we're standing on. Some of them, Dr. Mary McLeod is gone, but we're standing on. They were the trailblazers. They are the one who made the tear the gate open up those gates so we can come in. So NCNW is an organization that I must say that is taking the lead. Our affiliates, as you know, the sororities are, they're on board, they're our affiliates. So we're made up of the Deltas and the AKs and the Zetas and the AME churches. We have 26 affiliates under us. So we work together, and what we do, we collaborate and we partner with NGOs, with other organizations to get this job done, because human trafficking, one organization, you cannot do it by yourself. So we
Okay.
partner with law enforcement agencies and other organizations into getting this job done. And right now, I know right now we are on this red card campaign, which is so important. The red card
Yes.
campaign,
What is that?
back in 2019, the
Mhm.
FIFA Cup. I know a lot of, I know a lot of Americans. I'm a Jamaican, so
Mhm.
about soccer. You know anything about
Yes.
soccer? In soccer, when a player get a red card, you
Mhm.
get thrown out of the game, you have did something derogatory, very bad, so you're kicked
Mhm.
out of the game. So what the FIFA Girls Cup soccer club decided, they partner with NCNW and the African Renaissance Network and said, we're going to give a red card to anyone we see committing any violence or discrimination against any women or girls. So
Mm.
what we're doing, we're collecting pledges, and by the year of 2022, which is this year, November, the end of November, we should have 1 million pledges signature. So we're asking folks, if you're on this evening, go to redcardpledge.com and make a pledge, sign that pledge that you will give a red card to anyone you see who is committing any violence, any discrimination against girls. And that includes human trafficking. So you're doing justice. So you asked me, Sandra, what can I do? I just gave you a task. Easy task, right? So if you can do that for us tonight, go to www.redcardpledge.com and take that pledge. You'll be
Well,
doing justice for me, for you, Brother Suave, and for our village.
yes. Yes. It's on the scene. It's right there on the screen. Listen, we need that. We need that. Because again, this country has a long history of discrimination against Black folks, Black women. I mean, so we this should go nationwide, you know,
Yes,
because
yes.
it's in every city. I was talking to a brother the other day. He was saying, I think it was in Vegas. He was saying
Mhm.
Vegas, you don't see it because it's one of the tourist places. He says, but they have so much discrimination there.
Mhm. Yes.
but because people don't look at it that way, they just say, I'm just going here to gamble. And it's right there under your nose, just like human trafficking, right there under your nose.
Right under your nose. And the top, and the thing too about Florida, a lot of Florida, California, and Texas, those are top three states. And one of the reasons persons may ask, well, why California? We got to remember the borders, right?
Yes, that
And
was
we
that
got
was
immigrants coming in. And a lot of those nail shops, you may go in and you get your nails done. A lot of those persons, they're there on a domestic servitude. Even from my beautiful island of Jamaica, we have a lot of persons who are being trafficked through domestic servitude. They are brought in this country, they're undocumented, they're immigrants, and they're undocumented. So guess what? Someone will hire them in the home, and hey, you have to work to pay for you never finish paying for that plane ticket that got you here, and you're working for pennies. Because guess what? You're undocumented. So where are you going to go? I remember that's the threat that was over my head as a child. I came here when I was 14 years old on a one entry visa. When I came to this country and I walked into my father's house, he said, well, this is how we live. And how we live was selling drugs. And here I was so traumatized because here I am coming from Jamaica and coming from a Christian home. But I didn't have, after my visa was up in March 1979, I had I was illegal alien. So guess what? They did not. He had his residence, his wife, my stepmother was a citizen, but they kept us undocumented for that reason. So they can traffic us, right? So you keep that person undocumented. Every time we act out, they said, oh, we're going to call U.S. immigration on you.
Keeping that over your head.
They hold it over your head. We're going to call U.S. immigration on you. So what do you do as a child? You are feared. Fear. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to. You don't know that to say, that, hey, they'll be getting in trouble because I'm a minor, right?
Yeah.
So the persons who are here without any papers, number one one of the targets also for domestic servitude. You are under, you have to, and every time I heard, this is the way we live. If you're going to stay here, this is what you're going to have to do. So I ran away from home twice, but I had to come back home because when you go to the foster homes, the girls were trafficking. And that's what I'm saying. The system is broken. The system is broken. Who comes to the foster home and interview the girls and find out what's going on? Who monitors those foster homes?
Yes.
The system is broken. And we have to fix it as a village.
Yes. It's some questions that I have to ask you dealing with a particular population. We're just going to go into our last commercial break. And I'm going to come back with those questions. Okay. So on a commercial break, it was saying some things change, some things stay the same. And when you're saying the village, things will stay the same if we don't work together collectively to make some changes. So I just want to say that. So the things I was thinking about, it just hit me just now. And I'm not singling out a particular group, but I think everyone has seen it, but didn't think of it as human trafficking and involuntary servitude. And this is the places that I always see very full, business always booming. But when you look at them, it seems like nobody's making money except for the owner. And this is the nail shops and Chinese restaurants, because China is very far away. And I'm thinking about, you say you'll never pay for that plane ticket.
That's right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, these people are working. And I'm like, how come? I'm like, there's no way they got all them licensed. But I guess the owner makes so much money and so much profit. They have somebody they connected to give these people license or whatever. Because I'm like, how? Who works there and make that little bit of money and taking care of their family? But it's obviously something's going on.
Exactly. And a lot of them, if you do talk to them, a lot of them don't even speak English, for one thing. There's a language barrier. A lot of them haven't been home. If you ask them when they've been home, they'll look at you like, they don't, and they're not happy.
And you said passive, very passive, no eye contact.
No eye contact. They look down, they do their job, and they go on to the next one. Yes, they're not having a conversation. The owner may have a conversation, but they're not allowed to speak. That's one of the spots.
Yes.
The nail shop,
and
the massage parlor. The massage parlor, that is big, huge. And now our Airbnbs are on the rise, because persons can make, imagine a 4-bedroom Airbnbs, and you get like 10 girls in Airbnb for 1 week, right? For Formula One. Yes, I'm speaking. That's the plot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get those girls, they're working round the clock. Folks, pay attention in your neighborhood. Nobody paid attention in mine. Y'all didn't see those cars just coming and going, coming and go. You see cars when you see cars coming and going, especially you live in a black neighborhood and you see these other color folks coming out and going up in the house and going back and forth. You see the, teenagers walking up and down the street, going back and forth in this home. Something is wrong.
Ding, 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 ding.
Lights on. Lights on.
Thank you, brother.
Pay attention. Pay attention. In the military, they say attention to detail, right? I know you was a military man. I was a military sponsor. I hear it all the time. Attention to detail. Yeah, it's going on. It's going on in your neighborhood. Yes, I'm talking to you. You may live in that nice person. It's going on in your neighborhood.
Yes. And the funny thing, where they least expect, and that's where the crime is. Those are the people making the money.
That's right. Your blinds is closed. You come home, you drive up in your driveway, you close your garage door, you close your blinds, and guess what? Human trafficking is going on right in your neighborhood, and you just don't know. You're not. No one is exempt. I'm sorry.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you about 2 more questions, and then we're going to go into a few other things. So how did you become an advocate for human trafficking awareness? I mean, I know that you say you was a survivor and you had experienced the work part, but how did you become an advocate? Because sometimes people, they how people experience certain things, they just don't want to go back because it could be traumatic for them. It could be triggering for them. So how did you become an advocate? I mean, or make you even...
Yeah, I got passionate when I had a trip at a school, when I went to a school and saw myself in those teenagers and say, I have to do something. I am the lifeline. I have to save them. I have to sound the alarm. I have to use my voice. I have to give my testimony. I cannot look at another Sandra and not do anything. I cannot speak up and have these teenagers in therapy and wait till they're 40, 50 years old to get therapy while their lives have been broken and they can't speak because no one spoke up. Is scorned in our community. How dare you speak of human trafficking? How dare you speak of child rape? How dare you speak of child sexual abuse? How dare you speak of domestic violence? That's not welcome at our table.
No, it is not.
Grace to our family. How dare you speak? But if we don't speak, people, guess what? Our future is over, because the
Yes.
youth, they are our future, and we are going to be held accountable. So that's how I became an advocate when I saw those young girls at that high school and they told me they wanted to be a stripper. I wasn't
So,
better than them, was I? Oh no. Because guess what? I was selling drugs as a teenager, right?
mhm.
Only thing they're selling their bodies. Same selling, same human trafficking, no exception.
So, in other words, you are your sister's keeper.
You better believe that one. Yes. And that's a part of National Council of Nigger Women. Yes. We're a
Yes.
sisterhood and we are sisters keepers. Yes.
So, what resources out there for survivors? You know, they have, like, when people get out of prison, they try to
Mm-hmm.
have resources for them. But what resources that they have, because they got this stuff in place in terms of our educational system
Mm-hmm.
in Florida. So obviously they had to create some resources for them for survivors.
Yeah.
So what
On
are
each states we have in each state, and if you're in Florida, if
mm-hmm.
you are in Georgia, we have the job training programs. We
Okay.
have faith-based organizations who have set up like food pantries for them, clothing, dress for success. Most persons, what's going on is the NGOs, the non-governmental organization. They have stepped up big time, and I have to give them credit for that, to help these survivors. Therapy, that's number one. And I know you specialize. I know that social therapy. I know you talk a lot about that. We have the welfare system. We have the Department of Children and Family.
Mm-hmm.
We have other agencies. When you call the Human Trafficking Hotline, the 1-888-373-7888, all
Yes.
the resource, they're direct, they get that, they on it, right? Where are they? They pick them up, they find
Mm-hmm.
a safe space for them. That, means safe space, just like how with domestic violence, they put you in a safe space. They make sure they get, first thing, they have to get medical treatment, because a lot of them that I've met living with HIV/AIDS, and they didn't even know they had AIDS.
Yes. So listen, now that's good and fine for those who are citizens. But what about the immigrants who are undocumented? They don't want to get rescued. So
No,
what resources you have for them? Because it has to be underground, and
the
how do you
NG
deal
well,
with that?
that's where the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, they help everyone.
And they
They
don't
help.
report them. They keep them protected.
They
Do they
keep
help
them
them get
protected.
citizenship? Do they get therapy like everyone
They get
else?
they get therapy with the citizenships. We still battling with that. That's with the U.S. immigration, and that's a different matter. That's a different story right there. But they are able. They give them their aid. They have doctors on site. They get care. They're
Yes,
not,
but
they're not set aside, and no, but a lot of them are not going to come forth because, as I said, just like myself, undocumented, you're going to be in hiding.
yes,
So a lot of
yes.
them are out there, is in hiding. They are, they're being trafficked. A lot of them are in homes where, as I said, the domestic servitude, like in Texas, the numbers. So
Yeah.
when you hear human trafficking,
Borders. Yes.
I tell a lot of people, when you hear human
Thank you, Mel.
trafficking, that always think about this. When you hear human trafficking numbers high in Texas, high in California, don't always think about is sex trafficking.
Yes.
Then look at the numbers and do your research. You're going to find it's the domestic servitude, the forced labor, because remember, they're on the farms. That's where I know, we have down south, we have down the Redlands,
Yes.
where
The
those
retinas down
farms
in
are in
Homestead.
Florida.
Yes. Florida
You'll
City.
find a lot of being trafficked there,
Hmm.
because guess what? They're here, they're Mexicans who came
Oh my
across the
God.
border.
Now
So
I'm
what
thinking
they
about
do,
the
they
tomato
traffic
fields
them
down in Florida City a
down
long time
from,
ago.
yeah, and they come all the way down to the Redlands, and they're there, and they're working on those farms day and night for little and nothing.
Well, thank
That's
you.
human trafficking. A lot of persons, I always tell people, do not always think about sex trafficking when you hear the word human trafficking. Think
Thank
about
you.
organ harvesting. You see, sometimes children come up missing. They're missing children. And sometimes they find these children, they don't have no heart. The organs are they're gone. And this happened in China, the UK, because we have someone on our committee in the UK, and that's what she specialized. She's just into the organ harvesting. Okay. That's what she focused on, and her research is on. And she's bringing awareness because the numbers are high there.
Yes.
In China, yes, the numbers are high there.
Yes.
Because they sell these organs on black market. Plenty money. Yes. Right? You're on a waiting list to get a heart.
Yes, I saw an episode of the cleaning lady, and it was it's expensive too. So again, they never pay that debt back. So Sandra, thank you. I want to tell you, my sisters told me on here. She said, "Thank you for sharing your story, Imelda."
You're welcome.
Listen, thank you for sharing. As I told you guys, this was a mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening experience. Thank you guys for coming on Planet Network. Oh my God, I'm just messing up. I'm sorry. The Planet Neighborhood. I am always messing up on that. But listen, I thank you guys for coming in. I thank you for my guest. She educated us on human trafficking. Listen, Sandra, thank you. Can you tell them before you leave how they can contact, how they can join? I know you gave a few, but I would like you to give those numbers. And
yes, the Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-888-373-7888. That's 1-888-373-7888. Lock that number in your phone. And the Red Card campaign, remember, do this for me and do this for our brother Suave. Go to the Red Card Pledge, redcardpledge.com, and pledge tonight. If you have pledged, put it in the box. Share with us that I have pledged. And to join National Council of Negro Women, you go to ncnw.org. That's Nancy Charlie Nancy Walter.org, and become a part of this movement. It is a movement.
Yes, we need it is.
You, and we appreciate you. And I thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for this platform tonight for me to share. Every time I get an opportunity. Last month was Human Trafficking Month, and listen, we were in Jamaica. We were all over the place, virtual and in person, getting the word out there, bringing awareness. And that's what it's all about. Thank you so much for what you do. Audience, thank you for being such a great audience. We love and appreciate you.
And thank you guys. Again, this is Dr. Brother Suave on Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Thank you. Just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you, and I mean it. Bye-bye.
This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you. Thank you.